on the morning drive.
103.5 FM DSN.
Good morning and welcome to Ebona, the 103.5 FM. Today, the 9th day of January 2024. Today is Tuesday and the time is 2 minutes past the hour of 7. It's time for newspaper headlines on Ebona, the 103.5 FM. This morning, we are going to take you through the news, making the headlines on Nigerian newspapers. But before we do that, let's go for a short break. When we come back, we'll continue on the stories, making the headlines. Please stay with us.
Do you know that you have the right to quality broadcasting? The National Broadcasting Commission says any person, group of persons, or organization aggrieved by the content of a broadcast or the conduct of a broadcast station may lodge a complaint to the station and all right to the Director General, National Broadcasting Commission, number 20, Ibrahim Taiwo Street, Asokoro, Abuja, or send a mail via info@nbc.gov.ng. Please ensure that your complaint includes name of the broadcast station, title of the program, date and time of broadcast, and essence of the complaint. Also, remember to include your name, address, telephone number, email, and append your signature. Note that a complaint must reach the NBC within 14 days of the queried broadcast. NBC, your right to quality broadcasting.
You're welcome back to newspaper headlines on Ebona, the 103.5 FM. This morning, we are going to take you through the news, making the headlines on the Guardian newspaper, Leadership newspaper, Vanguard, Punch, Sun, The Nation, Daily Post, This Day, Nigerian Tribune, if time permits. Remember that you can become part of the conversation via SMS or WhatsApp messages on 080-96661035. You can as well join us on Facebook as we are live at Ebona Day 103.5 FM. Drop your comment on the comment section of the live video. Join us via link mixlr.com/gistfm. I am Martin. Let's get started with the Guardian newspaper this morning. Ex-PDP chairman emerges Ebonyi South senatorial candidate. Tinubu suspends humanitarian affairs minister Betta Edu. Spirits of people killed during civil war still guiding Asaba 54 years after. Judiciary needs reinvention via self-cleansing. Otu tells judges. Judiciary needs reinvention via self-cleansing. Otu tells judges. After Abbas exit, SDP collapses a structure, joins a PDP. EFCC appeals 100 million naira fine for violating MFRS rights. Federal government to reserve 5% employment slot for people with disabilities. Supreme Court affirms Alia as a Benue governor, reserves judgment in Ebonyi appeal. Obi deplores huge borrowing, prolificate spending on luxury. NERC cancels Disco's license over 110 billion naira debt, appoints sole administrator. Expert says advocacy will stop irregular migration. DSS, EFCC should probe CBN over naira scarcity, federal government told. Reps blame Agric Ministry for delay in sharing Tinubu's palliative. Federal government automates a passport application system. EFCC quizzes embattled Edu. Others as anti-graft opera heightens. Subscribers suffers service disruption over 70 billion naira interconnect debt. The Guardian restructures, appoints Toke Alex Ibru as CEO. APC sues Areboshala for allegedly factionalizing party in Osun State. Is blackmail to discredit me ahead of polls. Ayedatiwa denies certificate forgery. OPC, ARG urged Tinubu not to neglect calls for restructuring. Oyo AG didn't contradict Makinde's position on payment to ex-council chairman. Peter Obi's ex-campaign director, Doyin Okupe, resigns from Labour Party. Screening of police recruits candidates takes off in many states. Ijaw youths call for increased funding of presidential amnesty program. Reaction trails the suspension of Betta Edu as humanitarian minister. Alusi Kainde emerges Labour Party's candidate for Surulere Federal Constituency by election. TOCSS Award opens call for nominees shortlist. Enugu continues replacement, extension of pipelines, wants residents to take ownership of projects. Abuja Court bars federal government orders from rearresting, detaining Emefiele, awards 100 million naira damages. That's the much we can take from the Guardian newspaper this morning. And from the Guardian newspaper, we'll flip over to Vanguard newspaper. Court adjourns Nnamdi Kanu's 1 billion naira suit against the federal government, DSS, until March 4th. 585 million naira scandal. Suspended minister Edu denied access to C. Tinubu. AFCON 2023, a privilege to host all of Africa, Droba. Alleged sexual harassment. Court remands suspended Unical professor in Kuje Correctional Center. AFCON 2023 preview. Morocco's Atlas Lions want to break course of African Cup. Tinubu suspends Betta Edu, orders EFCC to investigate her. AFCON 2023, we've taken this. Electricity. NERC dissolves Kaduna Disco's board over 182.16 billion naira debt. Is this how we intend to win AFCON? Reactions trail Super Eagles' defeat to Guinea in friendly. Abia PDP accuses Oti of meddling in Aro kingship tussle. 585 million naira cash scandal. We've taken this. World's biggest mining project to commence in Guinea. Doyin Okupe resigns from Labour Party. Mixed reactions trail BBC report on TB Joshua. Africa's growth challenged by leadership failure. Peter Obi. Supreme Court affirms Alia as Benue governor, dismisses PDP's appeal. Still on the stories making headlines on the Vanguard newspaper this morning. Abia government denies lifting ban on church convention. Police arrest Ezaro aspirant over alleged impersonation. Christian Association of Nigeria protests over plateau killings. Economy, survival strategies Nigerians adopt in 2023. Economy, survival strategies Nigerians adopted in 2023. 2 injured as truck falls off Lagos Bridge. 44 billion naira fraud. PDP wants immediate sack. Prosecution of minister. EFCC's visit. Dangote explains. Assures stakeholders. That's the much we can take from the Vanguard newspaper this morning. Still on the stories making the headlines on Nigerian newspapers this morning from the Vanguard newspaper, we'll flip over to the leadership newspaper. Reps Deputy Speaker vows to lead campaign against insecurity in Southeast. Tinubu's old political ties fast track his rise. Tinubu's old political ties fast tracked his rise. Bajabia Miller. Access Bank Zambia completes acquisition of Atlas Mara. Clearing agents assure customs of 5 trillion naira revenue collection. APC drags Arewachala to court over division in party. Beta Edu and the disappearing vulnerable citizens millions. Stakeholders move against irregular migration. Late TB Joshua raped, tortured worshippers. BBC investigation. Nigerian art students set new Guinness World Record. 6 firms likely to list on NGX this year. Reps Deputy Speaker vows to lead campaign against insecurity in Southeast. Court rules in Rivers Assembly Speaker's suit against Fubara, January 22nd. Tinubu sacks Iwikera Oko as FCCPC BPE bosses. 3.4 billion naira judgment debt. Accountant General did not contradict Makinde, says Oyo government. Dismantle emerging political cartel. Ndume tells Tinubu. Edo primary. APC pegs governorship forms at 50 million naira. Begins sale Wednesday. That's the much we can take from the leadership newspaper this morning. And from the leadership newspaper, we'll flip over to Punch newspaper. Governorship aspirants sponsoring certificate forgery claim against Ayedetiwa aid. Taraba secondary school teachers must have master's degree. Governor. Parents lament bus fare hike as Lagos schools resume. Non-state actors shouldn't be involved in pipeline protection. Diri. Supreme Court affirms Alia's victory. Reserves verdict on Ebonyi poll. Pharmacists want import duty on medicine raw materials removed. Army alerts Kaduna communities ahead of shooting practice. Red line rail to be unveiled March, says Lamata. WAEC allays Arewa youth fears over CBT exams. WAEC allays Arewa youth fears over CBT exam. Oshun APC sues Arewachala for dividing party. Ogun Assembly promises justice for slain Obafemi Awolowo University graduate preacher. DSS detains septuagenarian, others in Niger for vandalism. Uni Ilorin spends 1.3 billion naira on electricity annually. Vice Chancellor. Tinubu dismisses BPE, FCCPC heads. Court stops Emefiele's rearrest. EFCC rejects 1 million naira fine. Pope urges ban on surrogacy. Be hard on criminals. KB governor tells judges. MPC excludes 6 Borno local governments from health survey over insecurity. Government shuts club over noise pollution. Okupe dumps Labour Party, sides ideological conflict. Christian Association of Nigeria protests Plateau killings as police arrest 10 suspects. Federal government to open North Central Orthopedic Hospital, Marsh, MD. Bello names new Ohinoi of Ubira land, sacks 4 monarchs. RCCG justifies stopping non-members from preaching in parishes. Police arraign teenager for stealing 2.3 million naira batteries. Beta Edu, I am not involved in 438 million naira contract. Interior Minister. Insecurity. MPC excludes 6 Borno local governments from demographic survey. Tinubu sacks BPE. ECCPC chiefs with taken dates. Emefiele's detention lawful. We will appeal 100 million naira fine. EFCC. Uba crosses 1 trillion naira market capitalization on UBA. Crosses 1 trillion naira market capitalization on NGX. Police arrest man for assaulting officer in Lagos. Pope calls for global ban on surrogacy. That's the much we can take from the Punch newspaper this morning. Still on the stories making the headlines on Nigerian newspapers this morning from the Punch newspaper, we'll flip over to the Sun newspaper. Abia North, APC support groups hail Carlos rise not from federal government media office. Suspended minister Beta Edu whisked away in security truck. Federal government reckon Nigeria's economy with huge debt. Obi 5 killed in Anambra boat mishap, 30 rescued. Tunji Ojo launches online passport application portal. Suspended minister, we've taken this. Yoruba Obas Forum kicks against installation of diaspora Yoruba kings. Obi's ex-presidential campaign DG Okupe resigns from Labour Party. Governor Alia dedicates victory to Benue masses. APC fixes February 17th for Edo Guba primary. Governorship poll. Supreme Court begins hearing in over 21 appeals. I'm most qualified to govern Edo, says Umake. Group promises to revitalize moribund agro industry in Southeast. Federal government. Some states implementing grand plot against Igbo. Bianca Ojukwu. Federal government. Some states implementing grand plot against Igbo. Bianca Ojukwu. Oji Carlos rise not from federal government. Media office. Federal government empowers farmers to boost food production with wet season farming. Government spending. FX supply. Orders to shape economy in 2024. Sanwo-Olu to host Super Eagles to dinner in Lagos today. Simon Umar fire blanks as Super Eagles fall to Silly National. Tiger Woods ends 27-year relationship with Nike. Boniface out of AFCON returns to Germany. Rejigging Nigeria's security architecture. Effective implementation of 2024 budget. Let federal government stop illegal mining. That's the much we can take from the Sun newspaper this morning. From the Sun newspaper, we'll flip over to the Nation newspaper. Beta Edu faces EFCC grilling today. 37 billion naira EFCC quizzes ex-minister Sadia. APC picks Edo candidate February 17th. NERC takes over disco over poor performance. Court adjourns Nnamdi Kanu's 1 billion naira suit against a federal government, DSS, till March 4th. Emefiele, EFCC to appeal 100 million naira fine. Supreme Court upholds Alia's victory as Benue governor. Tinubu sacks BPE, FCCPC chiefs, politicians behind allegation of certificate forgery against Ayedatiwa, says aide. AG didn't contradict governor on payment to ex-council chairman. Still on the stories making the headlines on the Nation newspaper this morning. It's Isan's turn to be Edo governor, says Labour Party. I will make life meaningful for Edo residents. Akeredolu left lasting legacy, says Ayedatiwa's kingsmen. Arebochala sued for creating factions in APC. Oyo wants head teachers against collection of illegal fees. Students to evaluate lecturers at University of Ilorin, says Vice Chancellor. 17,000 Oyo residents get daily support through safer transport. 17,000 Oyo residents get daily support through safer transport. 50% implementation of 2024 budget will ease harsh economic realities, says Uzodinma. Yahaya Bello names Ahmed Anaje as Ohinoi of Ibira land. Mutfwang gets Plateau Christian leaders 10-point demands. Mutfwang gets Plateau Christian leaders 10-point demands. And that's the much we can take from the Nation newspaper this morning. Still on the stories making the headlines on Nigerian newspapers this morning from the Nation newspaper, will flip over to Daily Post newspaper. Insecurity. Christian Association of Nigeria declares 7 days of fasting. Prayers in Taraba. Pharmacists seek policy on drug prescription dispensing. Pharmacists seek policy on drug prescription dispensing. 585 million naira scandal. Tinubu orders EFCC to conduct thorough investigation. NDA to conduct range from 71 army cadets, advises close residents not to panic. Benue Guba, a great win. Governor Alia reacts to victory at Supreme Court. Tinubu suspends Minister Beta Edu over 585.189 million naira scandal. Rivers crisis. Wike helped many Ijaw people to power. Manosike attacks Fubara. Plateau killings. Christian Association of Nigeria stages peaceful protests. Abia monarchs warn communities against use of hard drugs during traditional festival. Tinubu took risk making me FCT minister. Wike on appointment. Buhari's ex-humanitarian affairs minister Sadia Umar Farouk arrives EFCC office. 585.18 million naira. SILAC urges federal government to fish out Edu, Farouk's alleged accomplices. 585.18 million naira. SILAC urges federal government to fish out Edu, Farouk's alleged accomplices. That's the much we can take from the Daily Post newspaper this morning. And from the Daily Post newspaper, we'll flip over to this day newspaper. Court orders EFCC to pay Emefiele 100 million naira for unlawful detention. UBA surpasses 1 trillion naira market capitalization on NGX. Share price hits 29.90 naira. Finally, NERC sacks Kaduna Discos board over failure to settle 110 billion naira debt. Halilu, human capital development critical to repositioning of Naseni. Contagion as Tunji Ojo distances himself from payments by humanitarian ministry. Finally, okay, we've taken this. Man berates EFCC over raid on Dangote's head office. NCC approves a partial disconnection of Glo subscribers over interconnect debt. Tinubu sacks BPE boss Oko. FCC PC's Urukera. Explosion at illegal refining facility. Kills one, destroy houses in Kanu. NIPR to crack down on quackery in PR practice. 2024, examining Nigeria's unfinished business in energy sector. Muslims tax federal government on moral ethos for economic prosperity. Report, amid low production, oil revenues dropped 66% in Q3 2023. CureNet launches social awareness campaign to empower Nigerians against scams. Subtle recovery for Nigerian industrialists. Nigeria pays more for petrol than Saudi Arabia, Russia, Iraq, others. NGX all share index crosses historic 80,000 basics point mark. NGX all share index crosses historic 80,000 basic point mark. Abbey welcomes new board member. Court orders EFCC to pay Emefiele 100 million. We've taken this. Baja, an uncommon phenomena representative, is Fubara building his own structure? Who is afraid of Atiku's ambition? PDP National Working Committee empowered to nominate candidates for election. PDP National Working Committee empowered to nominate candidates for election. Adopting new strategy to tackle insecurity. Tinubu and peace in the southeast. Adopting, we've taken this. For Chaibu, the chicken has come home to roast. Still on the stories making the headlines on this day newspaper this morning. 6-month-old baby needs 9 million naira for severe heart surgery, reflecting on the Nigerian health sector in 2023. Medical consultants advise on prostate cancer, menopause pains. Obasani's 5 action that changed Kaduna's healthcare history. Eagles fall to Silly National in AFCON 2023 friendly. You are listening to newspaper headlines on Ebonade 103.5 FM. We will now go for a short break. When we come back, we'll continue on the stories making the headlines. Please stay with us.
FCC APC, when you hold, when you APC, yeah. Oh, when you APC, when you hold peace, yeah. God, they know how to be. Hey, they know how to be. Now what to be? Singing about APC, oh, they know how to be. Okay, well, they know how to be. APC, now what to be? Okay, well, they know how to be. APC. Now what do we need? Go and register now in your ward. Get involved. The new APC is here in Anambra. This is sponsored by Sapo Chukuma, Onwa Umeri, Onyechinazo, and Ocha.
One better Woko Sisiada, woman, Juabia, Haji Vivan, you know, Guana, Wono Wogidiana, Resibo Madana, Udo Wabugana, Nanda Bugana, Nambarana. Wono Wogidiana,
Keep your sonye na mmemme akwamozu nke High Chief Ifeanyi Michael Udokwu Ekwueme Ono Uwogidi onye jibu ọkwa Deputy Chairman All Progressives Deaf Alliance ABGA na Anambra State ma bụrụ onye bụbu member ABGA Board of Trustees ma bụrụ founder Doka Furniture. Ọ rapụrụ ụwa lapụrụ onye nwe anyị ka o rechara ahụ ntakịrị oge na England ma ọ gbara afọ 71 wee la mmụọ. Mmemme akwamozu ụbọchị Wednesday abalị 10 n'ọnwa Jenụwarị afọ 2024 a ga-akara ya ụka ịmụ anya abalị na ngwurube ya ma ọ kwerekere ise n'oge uruchi n'uru eze alụ village Ogidi na njedite iru the Palace of His Royal Majesty Igwe Alex Ụzọ Onyido abalị 11 ka ọnwa Jenụwarị afọ 2024 ọ kwerekere asatọ nke ụtụtụ ga-eburu ozu ya bute na Ogidi Town Hall dote ya ka akpọchere ugwu ikpeazụ ọ kwerekere 10 nke ụtụtụ akara ụka onye nwere ahụ na Our Lady of Assumption Catholic Church Ogidi emechazie eli ozi ngwangwa gbasachara ụka na ngwurube ya ọ rapụrụ ụmụ ya anọ ka ha na-eru uju ọnwụ ya tinyere nwunye ya bụ Iyom Antonia Udokwu Osodieme na ọtụtụ ndị ọzọ bụ ndị metụtara ya Onowu Ogidi wee ezumike udo n'ime onye nwe anyị amen. Ndị bịara aka n'ọkwa bụ His Royal Majesty Igwe Alex Ụzọ Onyido Igwe Eze Chiomagha na Ogidi na Pastọ Eze Akọ Udokwu
0032763826
n'aha ezinụlọ.
How best can we talk about the challenges we are having on our streets, our community, our society in general? Street report. If we do not address these challenges on Ebonadi FM, who will? As the happenings around us get as complicated as they can be.
Government,
Whatever. Street report is here to make sense of it all. Street report is causing social change across your streets. In your community. Street report is here with hardcore journalism to get to the roots of our problem. Why don't you join me, Martin Ifeanyi as number the force every Friday, 4:30 p.m. on Ebonadi 103.5 FM as Street Reports unfolds
in your face.
On Emas Nebonadi corner
24/7, 24/7.
You're welcome back to Newspaper Headlines on Ebona, the 103.5 FM. Remember that you can become part of the conversation by sending your reactions via SMS or WhatsApp messages on 080-96 0806665 You can as well join us on Facebook as we're live at Ebona at 103.5 FM. Drop your comments on the comment section of the live video. You can equally stream us online via mixlr.com/gistfm. We are on to this day newspaper. National Association of Nigerian Students to partner federal government to curb indiscriminate diversion of education funds. Removal, XDVC cancels public varsities management. Mimico, international education's ecosystem beneficial to Nigerian students. Nation, who dares recruiting the University of Ilorin. 2024 funding, transparency, end of dichotomy, top stakeholders' expectations for education. Now that NUC has approved a second university for Niger State, water tourism, Lajfedri inaugurates Bariga waterfront jetty. Water tourism, Lajfedri inaugurates Bariga waterfront jetty. LASEPA boss felicitates with Christians. And that's the much we can take from this day newspaper this morning. And from this day newspaper, we'll flip over to the Nigerian Tribune. Niger government organizes induction retreat for executive council members. Niger government organizes induction retreat for executive council members. Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission dissolves Kaduna's Discos Board over 110 billion naira debt. Zamfara rescue budget. Governor Lawal strategizes to monitor implementation. Ijaw Youth Council demands increased funding for presidential amnesty program. Fresh oil spill at Kedere Ogoni community. Tinubu must dismantle emerging cabal within his presidency. Senator Ndume. Plateau killings linked to lack of a political will. Emir of Wase. One dies. Properties destroyed as fire raises Kanu Oil Refinery. FCTA risks riot act to heads of schools over low student turnout. Group 6 in Oro. Five personal items you shouldn't share with anyone. Isoko Youth Lord YX CBT exam. Gridlock tamed with iconic projects. Lagos government assures residents. Nigerian Air Force airstrikes neutralizes 12 terrorists in Brunei. That's the much we can take from the Nigerian Tribune this morning. That will also mark the conclusion of all that we have for you on this particular edition of newspaper headlines on Ebona Day 103.5 FM. We'll now flip over to our WhatsApp portal to bring you reactions this morning. From our WhatsApp portal this morning, we have this message coming from Ogugwa Kenneth Okuchuku from Umuoba Nam, Umuoba Lishi Kingdom, and he says, better edu. Nigerian corruption is biting more harder due to hardship. Pen robbing from our leaders is taking more harder in Nigeria than gun robbery. And he says, God have mercy in Nigeria over our leaders is our problems. Okay, thank you so much for joining us this morning. Now we have this message. This one is coming from Engineer Ebukanwa Bufo. It says the kind of lot that a previous government did in this country will put this country in lifetime debt. Even EFCC can't probe them to investigate them because the money is much. They will cover up for them when they found out how much they have stolen. This country lawmakers is our problem. The system is so corrupt so much. We need a strong law to make our country stand firm. Okay, thank you so much for joining us this morning. Now we have this message. It's coming from Maloto Patrick from Munteje. And he says, I think Tinubu has done noble by suspending Beta Edu over corruption charges. It's good that this thing happened at this point in time so that it will serve as a deterrent to others who have the intention to involve themselves in corruption. I therefore urge under the carpet or to allow sentiment or ethnicism to becloud his sense of reasoning as investigation goes on. Meanwhile, I support the call for CBN to be probed over the current wave of cash scarcity. I don't think that Nigerians are ready to suffer again what they suffered during the last cash crunch early this year, early last year. And he says, and finally, Tinubu should, as a matter of fact, do everything possible within his power to ensure that Nigeria is restructured in no distant time. This is coming from Maloto Patrick from Munteja. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. We have this message. It's coming from Aja Black from Udume. And it says, adjourning Nandekanu's case, court case to March doesn't mean anything to us, again, because we are used to the strategies and delay tactics they use to apply. Like eating agege bread without water or mineral, I assure them that it will choke. And he says, Aja from Udume. And he continued and he says, what is wrong with Christian Association of Nigeria? Others are busy thinking how to produce, create, and invent many unseen articles. They are there praying, fasting for nothing. Okay, I heard them. They are planning to protest about Plato killings. Police are waiting for the people who protest. Okay, Aja from Udme, thank you so much for joining us this morning. Now we have this message is coming from Chike Obata from Obinetiti Okozu, and it says Governor Oti is right. Federal government to look into Nnamdi Kanu case on March. We are waiting. He says kudos to Peter Obi Okupe. Living Labour Party is very good. Okay, thank you so much for joining us this morning. We have a message coming from Valentine Edene from Upo, and he says MFLA is pointing accusing fingers on Dangote, which he's supposed to be arraigned for selling from government accounts or for further in interrogation together with Buhari, because one person cannot take money out of any organization's account, let alone federal government, without approval of chairman or anybody. Another is any set of people, or is any set of people who are above the law. Anyway, God hardened heart of Pharaoh and afterwards killed him in Red Sea. That means wages of sin is that three arms of government in Nigeria should remember there is God Almighty. Okay. Valentine Edene from Mumpo, thank you so much for joining us this morning. Now we have this message. It's coming from John Ume from Okozu, and he says, please, our clergymen and women should stop telling us to be praying for our leaders. How can one be praying for the people that have, since the party called APC came to power, have succeeded in making Nigeria worse than they met it? How can one be praying for his enemies, and how will Nigerians be praying for people who did not elect but forced themselves on us and making our lives miserable? In fact, these people supposed to be receiving, he said, curses and curses, and he says because they came to and to kill, to still kill and destroy. So praying for them should be because they are corrupt. And if you say you are talking about clergymen, that means you are a Christian too. So you understand the concept of prayer from the point of view of the clergymen. But thank you so much for joining us, because the Bible also let you know you should pray for your enemies. Now we have a message coming from Esther from Ifitedunu, and it says, please, the federal government should look into the release of Nnamdi Kanu. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. Now we have this message. It is coming from White Lion of Africa, and it says, I have said it before that the humanitarian ministry of Nigeria should be scrapped. Tinubu should focus on fixing Nigeria now, not borrowing money that will later be embezzled. Tinubu's ministers have embezzling public funds. He should investigate other ministries. Central Bank of Nigeria, a house of corruption. Government should investigate the dealings of the Central Bank of Nigeria. That's the much we can take from our WhatsApp portal. Let's flip over to our SMS portal to bring you more reactions.